Well, here we are again for another allotment tour. Today's the 4th of November, and I'm sorry it's a bit late for October, but we've been away on holiday for a few days, just celebrating our 44th wedding anniversary. I did actually record an allotment tour on the 29th of October, the same day I recorded the planting of the garlic. I went round and did the tour. I got home, and after I uploaded the video onto my computer, the only footage I had was when I turned off the camera to move around the allotment, was the bits that I recorded. So in fact I didn't record the tour, I just recorded the bits where I turned the camera off. So instead of turning it on, I turned it off. And in fact I've just done it again this morning. So this is the second introduction for today. So I think I'm having more than one senile movement. Never mind. So anyway, I know I'm recording now, so let's get cracking. This horse manure I've got here will be spread over the bed where I had this year's brassicas later on, once the brassicas are removed, and get them ready for my potatoes next year. Now if you notice, I've now gone round and reduced the size of these beds. So I've got two smaller beds with this wood lined around the outside. I was given all this timber, so it hasn't cost me any money, but I've got sufficient. I've had sufficient wood to do most of these beds. The only beds I've still got to complete is where the brassicas are at the moment. Now I've also left the outside ends off of these beds, so it's easier to get a rotavator in if I need to. So I'm really using the wood not as typically raised beds or square foot beds, but to keep the earth off of the paths, with a small walkway between each bed. So this is the raspberry bed finished, ready for next year. The runners have been taken off, any unwanted plants have been removed, so that's that done. So let's walk down to the Brassica bed. Right, as I've picked and eaten the brassicas, I'm digging the bed over. So this side is almost finished. I've still got some cabbages to eat up that far end. Swing round this side. The brassicas, the Brussels are doing well. I will start picking these soon. They have got grey fly on them and white fly, but I'm not too worried about that. I didn't spray them in the end, as I said I would last time. So that's the brassicas. So they're okay. Some have fallen over, so I'll pull those up first and eat those first. Right, if I swing round onto this top square foot gardening bed, this has all been sown with winter manure, overwinter manure, green manure it's called, and this is winter tares I'm using. As I mentioned last month, I did sow grazing rye grass, but the seed didn't take, and it wasn't the pigeons eating it, the seed must have been old. In fact, none of the seed came up at all on any of the beds, even the ones I protected from pigeons. So the seed was rubbish. So obviously this bed's been cleared, the runner beans have gone, the beetroot's gone and that's storing at home. The spinach, you saw the spinach that I used for the video, that was from what I pulled up here. Now this bed did have strawberries up at this corner. I cleared those because they were grown too close together. I've spaced all the strawberry plants, which have been taken from new runners from the other bed, across the whole of that new bed. So I've got 2 whole beds of strawberries. Now what's happened, if we come in down here, from one of the bags of my own made compost, it must have been full of weed seeds, look. Although my compost has been spread over all these beds, this particular bit has had plenty of weed seed in it. So I will need to weed that before it takes over. I must really do that, might do that this morning, but it is a bit wet. So that's the second strawberry bed, and it does need, there's a few nasturtium seeds that have taken there, so I'll pull those up as well. So it needs tidying up. Now this is the bed that I first sowed with grazing rye and winter tares, and as you can see there's no grazing rye, but there's plenty of winter tares, so that's taken well, and that's one of the first beds I sowed. So that will overwinter and that will be dug in the spring. Swinging round again. Again, these beds have been made into, the 2 beds here have been made into 4 smaller beds. The one where you can't see any growth, that's where my runner beans were. I took those down at the end of October, and I bought some new green manure, and this time it's field beans. So I've only just sowed the field beans in that bed, so they're not showing at the moment. These other 3 beds, this is where my tomatoes were and my pumpkins. I've sown those with winter tares, and the far bed over there was where the onions were, and that's been sown with winter tares as well. So these beds really are finished, ready for next year, where I'll dig in the green manure. So let's walk further down. The comfrey is still growing. I could either leave this now and let it die back and feed itself, which I think I will, because obviously the goodness will come out of the leaves and go back into the ground and feed the comfrey itself. The compost bins, the first 2 are completely full. The third one has still got compost ready to use in it, and the 4th one has got compost that is composting down. So I've got 2 bags of compost left that will eventually be thrown over where the brassicas are at the moment. The asparagus is starting to go brown. When it's all gone brown, I'll cut that down. Walking down a bit further. The rhubarb's still growing like mad. We're still picking raspberries off of the raspberry canes, and I might pick a few today. I've started harvesting the celeriac, and I'm eating that at the moment. And that last bed again was one of the original beds that I sowed with grazing rye and winter tares, and only the winter tares have come up. Underneath that fleece are some pok choy that I will finish harvesting today. swing round. Right, these 4 beds, these 2 here in front of us are where my main crop potatoes were. They've been dug. Again, I've made them into 2 smaller beds and I've sown them with winter tares. Walking down, I've still got parsnips in these 2 beds and leeks, and they're doing well, and I'm picking and eating them. And in the space between them I've sown some more winter tares. So all my winter tares seed have now finished. That's why I've got the field beans, and I'll sow those, which I've done already, in one bed, and the rest will be sown next year. So that's my beds. So I'm more or less finished really for this year. I've got some tidying up to do. I've got some harvesting still to do. But really it's coming to an end. Right, the greenhouse is finished. I haven't done anything in there yet. That's all ready for next year. Let's have a little walk up and have a look in the greenhouse. Right, this year I've still got a tomato there, which is still growing. Now, because I was plagued with ants last year and also having problems keeping it damp, this raised bed here will be removed, and I'll be using my containers to grow items in here next year. And as you can see, these containers with water reservoirs in the bottom, which I'm calling wicking containers, have got lettuce in that one, and this is the bed, the container I sowed with garlic. They're not showing yet, obviously it's only a few days ago that I planted them, but that's it really. So this greenhouse is going to be repaired over the winter and cleaned up, ready for next year. I need a glass in the roof, I need a new piece of glass in there. I've got some plastic that I used in the other greenhouse, which I'll use to tidy this one up. So this will all be cleaned out most probably this month, and I'll keep that tomato going until it's finished. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this short tour. Like I say, it's more or less finished for the year, just a little bit more tidying up, a little bit of weeding, and then tidying the greenhouse and the shed all ready. I will be doing burning some rubbish. I've got quite a bit of wood to burn, old fence panels, things like that. I'll do that later on in the year. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this short video, and I'll see you again hopefully at the end of this month. Bye for now.